It's time for Fantasy Football Semi-Pros.
Let's do it.
Oh, we're listening to this again?
Yeah, we're going to use this as our opening now.
Oh. Okey-dokey. Just realized I don't have a QB2 next week.
Well, welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Football Semi-Pros. I'm with me. I'm with me too.
It's
been a long day. A lot of talking on the phone.
Yeah.
I'm Brandon. With me is my co-host and fellow semi-pro Ryan.
That's it. What's up?
We're not going to ask you how you're doing because I'm sure your day's been just as busy as mine.
Mondays are crazy.
All right. So we'll jump into the fun stuff already.
Okay, let's do it.
So Devon versus the coin.
Ouchie.
Right now, I've been the only person to beat the coin so far this week, and I've guaranteed to win the week for our show group.
Well, that's all fine and dandy. It's 1 week.
Oh, I know.
I mean, look at the Cardinals. Everybody thought, San Fran is going to beat them. They're on Kyler Murray or Deandre Hopkins.
I still picked the Cardinals.
I still picked the Cardinals, too. You know what? They lost last week. I'll be back.
Yep, so
I'll be back.
From here, Devon so far this week is 7-6, and the coin as well is 7-6. Good news is for Devon,
I think I've only gotten 4 or 5 right.
Devon picked the Steelers, and the coin picked the Bears for tonight.
So Devon can beat it. Can I beat the coin?
I don't think so.
I don't think I can.
I think you can tie it at best.
I'm just going to start dropping 13, 14, 15 game parlays on just like the wildest stuff. Not even the coin. Just whatever pay the most out. So all the underdogs.
You know, I heard
Because who thought the Jags were going to beat Buffalo this week?
I heard somebody say earlier today, if you got everything right this week, you were probably about a fantasy analyst.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, Colt McCoy outscored Tyrod Taylor in a PPR format. So, absolutely wild, man.
All right, so we'll go ahead and introduce Devon and let her make her picks versus the coin.
For Week 10. I thought we had a new one.
Not for this yet.
Did you do your research? Oh, right. So we're just going to jump into Week 10, Devon versus the coin. All right, next week, buys Chicago Bears, Cincinnati Bengals, the Houston Texans, and the New York Giants. So starting off on Thursday night, Baltimore's traveling to Miami to take on the Dolphins. This can't be right. The Dolphins are 7-point favorites.
I might have put that backwards.
I picked the Ravens.
Yeah, the coin also took the Ravens. I don't think that's right, but that's okay. Next game coming up, Atlanta Falcons traveling to Dallas to take on the Cowboys. The Cowboys were disappointing this week, but are still favored by 9.
Yeah, I picked the Cowboys.
Probably.
Feel like it might not be them, though.
So, I mean, the Falcons seem to be playing pretty hot right now, so we'll see.
Could be an upset.
All right, and then the Saints have reversed what I thought was a win-loss, win-loss. Then they won 1-loss. So New Orleans is traveling to Tennessee to take on the Titans.
And I went with Titans against my better judgment.
I mean, the Titans absolutely steamrolled the Rams last night, so that's not a bad pick after the Saints got embarrassed by the Dirty Birds in Atlanta. All right, probably coming off the most surprising 9-6 win ever. The Jaguars beat Buffalo yesterday. But Jacksonville will be traveling to Indianapolis to take on the Colts. Who you got
I
there?
picked the Colts.
I agree with that. I forgot to say the coin took the Cowboys. The coin took the Titans. The coin took the Jaguars. And now we're up. We're all caught up. Sorry, everybody. My bad. Okay. Cleveland travels to New England to take on the Patriots. The Browns flush it down. Who do you got?
I was undecided on this one, so I'm going to go with the opposite of whatever the coin picked.
You can't do that.
Why not?
You just gotta make your pick.
You gotta
Why
get your
not?
pick.
Then how will I beat the coin.
Just make your pick.
You just have to make a pick.
Browns.
Oh, well, the coin took the Patriots.
Perfect.
So there you
thing
go.
That's what I wanted.
The coin's picks are right in front of her.
Oh.
Oh.
That just looks like Chinese to me.
All right. Next game. The coin took the Patriots. I said that, so Buffalo, hopefully they can redeem themselves. Head not too far from home to take on the Jets.
I picked the Bills.
You picked the Bills. The coin said Jets, Jets. Yeah.
It spoke. I really heard it.
It did. It said it. It was like the sorting hat for Hogwarts. It was insane. The little Sacagawean thing was like.
Oh, you used the Sacagawea this time, huh?
I do.
I think I have a better shot now.
We did it last week too.
All right. Anyway.
Well, I still could win.
Anyway, Detroit Lions head to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers, who are favored by 9. Okay.
Steelers.
Okay. Enough about that game. The coin took the Steelers. All right. Coming off of bye weeks, Tampa Bay's traveling to Washington to take on the football team. Tampa Bay's favored by 9.5.
Well, I had that theory about always picking Tom Brady, and then that was the one week he failed. But I went with the Bucks again.
This is probably a safe bet here. All right, the struggling Carolina Panthers. I now have 3 teams I'm not picking to win the rest of the season, including these Carolina Panthers. They're traveling the desert to take on the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals are favored by 10 points.
I picked the Cardinals.
The coin said Panthers. Man, if I bet on the coin in a parlay this week, I will be a millionaire.
Only if it hits.
That's
Well,
right.
yeah, if it's right. Okay, next up, Minnesota travels to Los Angeles. Vikings versus Chargers. Chargers favored by 2.5.
Chargers.
Okay. Coin said Chargers too. All right, Philly traveling to the Broncos, who just came off of a huge win against Dallas. The Broncos right now are favored by 2.5 points.
I just decided to go rogue on this one.
Okay.
Fly, Eagles, fly.
Okay, no, but the coin said Broncos.
Did you look up there?
No.
All right. So, Seattle Seahawks travel to Green Bay to take on Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. The Aaron Rodgers should be back this week, right?
He can get cleared as early as Saturday.
Well, if
So
he's
it's up in the air.
if he is allowed to play, he will play.
Oh, yeah. They've already said that if he is cleared, he will play.
I'm not going to do this favorite here because without Aaron Rodgers, it's pretty one-sided, and the Seahawks may be getting Russell Wilson back. I think
He has
is.
been cleared.
That's insane. That's, 4 weeks from that finger injury? Anyway, we'll get into that later. So who do you got? Packers or Seahawks?
Packers.
Okay, coin said Seahawks. All right, only 2 games left. Sunday Night Football. Chiefs travel to Las Vegas to take on the Raiders.
Well, undecided on this one, but I went with the Chiefs.
Okay, well, the coin said you're wrong, and it says Raiders.
Looks like I'll be beating the coin 2 weeks in a row.
I don't know about that.
When she
Anyway,
gets cocky, she gets beat by the coin.
yeah, you're going to eat it. I'm going to go with the coin this
I'm just
entire week.
thinking positively, not cocky.
All right, Monday night, I assume will be a blowout, just given that this team hosting this other team got beat by a backup QB. LA Rams
I definitely went with the Rams.
travel to San Francisco to take on the 49ers.
Definitely the Rams.
Okay, the coin said 49ers. Yeah, you're either going to get beat or like by badly, or you're going to smash the coin. So
Or maybe the coin will have some right and I'll have some right.
are you saying...
Yes. I'm going to manifest that
Okay.
for this week.
Okay. Sunshine. Man, if I have blonde hair, you can call me Sunshine right now. I need a haircut. Oh, waiver wire ads. Can I do it?
Well, so yeah, we'll start getting into our next thing, our waiver wire ads.
Nailed it.
So I've been trying to find some new stuff to add so we have more sounds and stuff going. So hopefully you like it.
Yeah.
So
Bad. Change it up.
waiver wire ads, it's not very good this week.
No, but I'm going to add somebody here that I think might be a good pickup.
All right. Well, my first one if Stevenson is ruled healthy, he could be a good ad. But unless Harris is playing, but
they both have to go through concussion protocol.
Yeah, both of them had left the game Sunday with a concussion, so that leaves Brandon Bolden and J.J. Taylor. And it's hard to figure out which Patriots running back's going to hit. But I think Brandon Bolden's been the one that has not been a healthy scratch
yet this year.
So I would pick up Brandon Bolden if I had to get somebody. He's 18% rostered.
Yeah.
My next one is Donovan Peoples-Jones, 21% rostered. OBJ's no longer with the Browns. Targets have to go somewhere.
Yep.
And he got 3 catches and I can't remember how many yards.
Well, he had at least one for 60 and a touchdown, so he's got deep threat ability. And I'm pretty sure Peoples-Jones was the guy that caught the game-winning touchdown pass in Cincinnati last year for the Browns.
He definitely has the big play ability, so he could have the higher ceiling. I think he has a higher ceiling than Landry, but he has a lower floor.
Right.
This next one's going to sound a little crazy. Tim Patrick. Judy's back. Sutton's still there. But Tim Patrick, the last 2 weeks, has been leading in targets and receptions for the
He's
Broncos.
flying under the radar because of the bigger names. I mean, Judy was back last week, so everybody was worried about him.
Yeah, he's been back 2 weeks, and Patrick still led the team.
Right, yeah, because he's just flying under the radar. Everybody wants to keep Judy in check and keep Cortland Sutton in check, and then it's like, oh, well, here's another fan. Albert Owikaboogum. And Tim Patrick, hey!
And then my next wide receiver, Van Jefferson. We saw him actually catch some deep passes. He was targeted quite a bit. Mm-hmm. And without Deshaun Jackson there, he's their deep threat now.
Yeah, and I'm going to go ahead and add one person here. I don't know what percent rostered he is, but with DeAndre Hopkins being hurt and Kyler Murray coming back next week, Christian Kirk...
It's not guaranteed he's coming back next week.
Well, I mean, even now, Christian Kirk put up 13 points. So if you need a flex play next week, especially with these buys coming up, hey, man, Christian Kirk could be a great flex play for you.
I think Kirk was someone I looked into, but he was a little heavier rostered.
Over 50.
Well, I have Van Jefferson, who's 53%, so I was kind of waving that a little bit this week. Give me a second on this.
I think I picked Christian Kirk up and then dropped him.
Yeah, Christian Kirk is 70% rostered.
Oh, okay, never mind.
So
sorry.
he still could be out there. Go check. But there's a good chance he's not. And then my QB and defensive streamers this week. I've got 2 QBs and 1 defense, but I do want to add in another QB here. Okay. My first one is Carson Wentz versus Jacksonville. Wentz is starting to come alive.
I mean, he put up 32 points last week, so...
But yeah, he's 58% rostered. And then Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan's slinging the ball like he's young again.
Yeah, he's spreading it around too, man. That's good for my Kyle Pitts. Yeah. So, I love that guy.
And Dallas has not been dominant these last couple weeks. In fact, Denver just tore them apart, as we mentioned earlier.
Yeah, absolutely dissected that defense on the Dallas. And, I mean, once Trayvon Diggs stopped getting interceptions, everybody started scoring. So,
and then my next one, he hasn't been announced the starter yet still, but the Saints, they've got to win. And I don't think Trevor Siemian's the answer. And Taysom Hill, especially after that loss, he could take over.
Yeah, I mean, well, Simeon played really well against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 2 weeks ago when he came in for Jameis Winston. But yeah, you're probably right. They need something to do. They might. I'm not even sure why they didn't go and talk to Phillip Rivers at least.
Well, no one said they haven't.
Well, Phillip Rivers, if you check the app, is that he hasn't
Fair.
even been contacted.
Fair. And then my streaming defense of the week. There's some good matchups out there, but those defenses are already pretty rostered.
Mm-hmm.
The only one I really kind of considered is the Cardinals versus Carolina. Sam Darnold's been trash. He's hurt. And it may be P.J. Walker starting for them next week.
I made a gutsy move and didn't pick up or play any defenses this week and stuck with the Cardinals. And, I mean, they had, I think, 5 sacks and a couple of turnovers.
Yeah.
They put up 20 points for me. So, I mean, this is going to be a more banged up and less threatening offense in Carolina than what they faced with San Francisco. So, I would agree with that pick right there, or that pickup right there.
Yep, and I'll be honest, I've been playing this streaming game, and I usually try to jump a week ahead. The Cardinals are somebody I've actually rostered for like 3 weeks, knowing they've got some fortuitous matchups coming up.
Oh yeah, and you mentioned it too. We'll get back into that though with Kyle Murray later, but that might help him rest up a bit. As much as I don't want to, then I really hurt.
And then I know another one that has a good matchup, the Steelers. They're like 70% rostered, I think it was.
Oh, they're playing the Lions, so yeah. I mean, they might not be out there, but somebody to look at.
And that's getting to what I was kind of talking about. Start looking a week ahead.
What about Buffalo?
Buffalo's not a streaming defense.
Yeah, somebody's
pretty
telling
much
them. And I'm sure the Colts are probably taking two. And I mean, this Titans defense. I think the Tennessee Titans defense is actually out there.
The Titans can be, and they've been picking it up. I don't know. We'll talk about this more, but we'll get to that later. So we're going to move on to our Week 9 recap. So we'll start with the Thursday night game, the Jets at the Colts. And, I mean, poor Jets.
Mike White was playing great, but if you look at these numbers from Josh Johnson, man, he didn't play terrible at all, and they put up 30 points. I just think this Colts defense is a force to be reckoned with, and the only team they couldn't compete with in their division just happens to be in their division. That was the Tennessee Titans. So
yep, and the Titans have been playing great against good teams.
Yeah, I mean, it all started with that game against Buffalo. I think that was a Thursday night game.
Yep, but we'll talk about the Titans later. I just wanted to do that since you said they didn't play well against Colts didn't play well against the Titans. But with the Jets, it seemed like a lot of the points were scored in garbage time.
Yeah, it was kind of like 2 weeks ago, and Houston put up a bunch against LA.
The hope was with Michael Carter that he would continue getting those dump off short passes.
They took it away.
It died down once Johnson became quarterback.
That and Indianapolis does really good at taking away the playmakers, and they just didn't let him get loose, man. They were spying him all over the field. So
you know what the good news is about this Jets team, though? Elijah Moore's starting to break out.
Yeah, and I mean, you got to look at it, and if you took a risk and took Elijah Moore in a draft, or placed a waiver claim for him, he's starting to come around. I mean, 2 touchdowns, that's great.
I think he's scored in consecutive weeks. He's been a legitimate fantasy producer in 2 straight weeks.
I just wouldn't rely on that touchdown or the multiple TDs that come each game. But I mean, he's getting his targets, he's getting his receptions, and he's getting his yards, and that definitely opens up opportunities to get the ball in the end zone.
I definitely agree. He's a late round or a deep league. Yeah, deep league flyer. Yeah.
Well, with the quarterback situation there, it's hard to tell who and how they're going to get him the ball, but if they keep finding a way, they keep
Corey Davis is back this week, is what they're saying.
Mm-hmm.
As for the Colts side, Jonathan Taylor is he's a monster. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if he ends up being the number 1 overall running back this year. And his schedule from here just gets easier.
Yeah, and I remember. So going back to Thursday night, I rostered Taylor, made a big trade for him, and I was really unhappy that I got him at that time. But now I'm super happy that I got him instead of Austin Eckler. But I remember thinking at halftime, he had gotten hit pretty hard and his knee looked pretty bad, and I thought, oh man, that's bad. And I have a superstition that I can't check my fantasy apps until halftime of the game, and
he's not superstitious. He's just a little stitious.
Just a little stitious. And I opened up the app after halftime, expecting him not to play at all the rest of the game. He already had 19 points at halftime,
and he just kept playing.
Yeah, I mean, 200 total yards, 172 on the ground. He only had 2 receptions, but I mean, this dude, he doesn't really need the receptions to be relevant in this league. He's kind of like a Kamara and a Derrick Henry almost. But those receptions really do help in fantasy football.
And then Michael Pittman, a guy that I've been banging the table for a while. He's starting to show he's that true number 1 receiver.
Yeah, he really is. And I like this Pittman kid. I'm not saying in a redraft league go out and trade for him, but if you can get him for something, man, that'd be great.
Okay, let me ask you this. Would you trade DeAndre Hopkins for Michael Pittman right now?
Wait. Am I getting Pittman?
You're getting Pittman.
Yeah, absolutely. You asked me like a couple weeks ago.
Did I?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I would totally trade him. And I said, well, Pittman's really the only guy there that's consistent.
Fair.
And DeAndre Hopkins has to compete with Christian Kirk and A.J. Green.
And injuries.
Now Zach Ertz and injuries and Rondell Moore and Chase Edmonds out of the backfield.
And Colt McCoy throwing.
Yeah, now Colt McCoy throwing.
All right, so we'll move on to the next game.
But
this team.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me.
Oh.
You're not that guy.
Okay, with that being said, and I posted this on my social media page the other day, and the Bungles are exactly who they've always been. All right, the wins this year just came early, and I think
this team is going to be a roller coaster ride with them.
Look, these players are paid millions of dollars. All right, how do you go into Baltimore and how do you go into Pittsburgh and just whip up on those teams? Right? How do you win 2 divisional games on the road against probably the 2 toughest teams in your division?
I argue Browns are the toughest team.
And then you get steamrolled like this by a Browns team that was 1-3 in their last 4 games. And it's just, man, it's frustrating. This team, this organization.
Yeah, Cleveland won 41-16. Chubb looked phenomenal. Mayfield looked good.
Mayfield's only a starter in 2 QB Superflex leagues.
Burrow, he looked like a rookie again.
Yeah, and he's had a
couple. He still, I don't think he's played 16 total games. So
Burrow's looked like a rookie against this team, the Browns and the Bears, and those were 2 really bad losses. And if you're a team that thinks they have a shot, you need to prove it. And those are the games you need to prove it in. And he didn't look all that bad against the Jets or anything, but. Man, this team is just a disappointment waiting to happen.
Some good news, though. Joe Mixon, 13 carries, 64 yards, 2 touchdowns, 5 receptions for 46 yards. He looked good when he was running the ball.
Yeah, he's running hard, and he's running elusive, and he's hitting holes. He's doing great, but I still think if you can get something for him.
And then, I mean, what we've been saying all along, Chase is the clear number 1 here. Higgins number 2. Boyd's an afterthought. He only had 1 reception, 11 yards. Chase was targeted 13 times, though. And I think that could be playing into some of Burrow's.
Favoritism?
Not favoritism.
He just didn't have time to throw.
I think with that, and I think that's kind of hurting Burrow. It's similar to what Andy Dalton did with A.J. Green. He focuses on the one guy he really, really trusts, and it leads to some bad decisions.
Yeah, like that. For opening drive, I mean that was a good read if you throw the ball like 1 second sooner. He just threw it too late and gave the cornerback time to recover, and the cornerback recovered and ran 99 yards for a touchdown. Enough about this game.
Yep. So we'll move on. The Broncos at the Cowboys. Denver won 30-16, and if you were a Lamb manager, a Cooper manager,
a Dak Prescott manager, a Ezekiel Elliott manager.
Yeah, you were pretty disappointed because the guy who got the touchdowns?
Pollard.
Turner.
Oh, yeah, Miles Turner. He had, 5 catches for 33 yards and 2 touchdowns?
Yeah.
Who is this guy?
I looked at it, I was like, okay, is this guy a tight end? Who is he? Is he a rookie? No, he's been in the league for 5 years.
5th string wide receiver.
Yeah. It just... This game, I think you can just toss this out for the Cowboys. Don't look into it further. Elliott had been dealing with a knee injury this game, but... They're saying it's not something they're worried about.
But, I mean, you're out there getting your butts handed to you, and you're going to keep your starters in the 4th quarter. I mean, as a fantasy manager, yeah, that you want to get as much out of your players as you can, but it's a long season, man. And 1 week is 1 week, and keep these guys healthy so that they can go out there and do their job.
This was the weirdest week in fantasy we've seen in a long time. The NFL, I think, was drunk this week.
Well, it makes me want to be drunk.
Yeah. This week started. Aaron Rodgers testing positive. Henry Ruggs. Odell Beckham Jr.
Yeah.
Another Raiders player going on video waving guns around threatening to kill somebody who has now been cut.
DeMonte Booker or something like that?
Something like that. He was a first-round pick. That's a DB.
Yeah, he's a corner.
This week for the NFL has just been nuts.
Yeah, and it's not the nuts that we were expecting with the trade deadline last week either. So, man, been pretty crazy.
This Broncos backfield, man.
I mean,
I wish one of these guys had the role.
But I mean, as a fantasy manager, man, I know Williams didn't have any touchdowns or anything, and he put up.
Yeah, this week
he gave you 12.1 points if you have the 100 plus yards bonus point, right?
Yeah.
That's not terrible. And yeah, for Gordon to go out there and get 80 yards on the ground and a touchdown, and then 2 receptions for 15 yards, I mean, yeah, if you took Javonte Williams pretty high, you're going to be pretty PO'd. But I mean, at the end of the day, you got to understand that Denver's going to get the most out of what they can Melvin Gordon. And they took Williams pretty high, so he's their future.
Yeah,
he's not quite this year.
I think he's going to be the man next year.
Oh, yeah, Gordon's going to be most likely be out of Denver unless they pick up his third-year option. But, I mean, they're going to get as much as they can out of Gordon and ride him as strong as they can. I mean, that's what I would do if I was an owner.
Yeah, manager.
An owner of a football team.
Oh, okay, I get what you're saying.
Like a president or a CEO. I own the
I get what you're saying.
Denver Broncos, like a John Elway.
I get what you're saying.
Okay.
Elway doesn't own them, but
he's like the
GM.
Something, yeah, whatever.
But yeah, Tim Patrick, 4 receptions, 85 yards. He got I think sole receiving TD.
Yeah.
Judy, 6 receptions, 69 yards. Sutton, I think this is going to be a wide receiver group where one person, maybe two, is going to go off a week. One person's always going to be left out.
Spin the wheel and see where it lands. Nobody knows. It's like the Price is Right.
Throw a dart at the dartboard.
Yeah, pretty much, man. And that's the biggest reason. I thought Teddy Bridgewater was going to come into Denver, roll in on his high horse and lead this team to division championship, but there's so many weapons there that he can do it. But as a fantasy manager, I don't want any stock in this team.
Fair. So our next game, got barn burner here. Texans and Dolphins. This game, as soon as news came out Sunday morning, I knew my week was just going to be brutal.
I knew my weeks were going to be brutal last week when Kyler Murray limped off the darn field.
In case you don't know what we're talking about, Sunday morning, it's announced,
to his finger
ribs. His finger, he has a small fracture. He's not playing.
His finger ribs are hurt.
But we're not going to rule him out. He's going to be the emergency quarterback.
He's going to be on the sidelines, all padded up and everything.
So Jacoby Brissett gets a start. And, I mean, he plays well.
His completion percentage is not that great, about 60%.
But look at the game Waddle had. 8 receptions, 83 yards. Gaskin had a good game. I'm still not sold on Gaskin. I think he's gonna be all or nothing. He's gonna be a Ricky Bobby type.
And when Tua comes back, it really lowers his floor, man, and lowers his ceiling completely when Tua's in there, because Brissett needs some help in the running game. They got to try to get their running backs going.
So the person I pivoted to without Tua,
Tyrod Taylor.
3 interceptions, 24-43, 240 yards. It's just this running back room though, it's a true committee. You do not want anybody on this team as a running back.
No, really, the only player you want on this team at all is Brandon Cooks. And, I mean, 6 receptions, 56 yards. He had something like 13 targets. Taylor just kept missing.
It was a quiet 6 receptions.
I mean,
every time we turn on the game, it's like, why not Cooks? Why not Cooks? Cooks has me 0 points. I look at, no, Ryan, he has you 6 receptions right now.
I'm like, what? Man, I don't know.
Gesicki, 4 receptions, 54 yards. That kind of seemed about the average for a tight end this week.
Well, and you're thinking, man, this Houston defense is really bad. And, I had TJ Hawkinson on a bye, and I was like, oh, okay, I feel really good and really confident plugging in Mike Gesicki here, and it's just a little bit of disappointment.
That's the other thing, though. Tight ends, it's boom bust with these guys. If they don't get a touchdown, they're not.
Unless it's Travis Kelce.
Even then. He hasn't been as fun to roster this year as he has been. So our next game, the Falcons at the Saints. This was actually a fun game that Atlanta won as time expired with a field goal, 27-25.
As a Brees fan, I still want the Saints to win every game, but...
Well, that's because you're a Kamara fan because you roster Kamara a lot.
Yeah, I have Kamara in 2 leagues. I drafted him 1-1. 1 overall, first overall in our.
But as I said, Matt Ryan, 23 of 30, 343 yards, 2 touchdowns. This guy's arm's going to fall off.
5 carries, 8 yards, and a rushing touchdown. Yeah. So he did it. He did the thing for you.
Mike Davis, if you have him, drop him.
The only running back that you want in this entire group is
a wide receiver.
Yeah, Cordero Patterson, because he lines up in the slot sometimes. He catches the ball out of the running back's position. He returns kickoffs. Like this, there's nothing this guy can't do. I mean, 9 carries, 10 yards. Ooh, that's exciting. But here's the big thing.
But Saints are one of the best run defenses.
Yeah, but I mean, 6 receptions for 126 yards. I mean,
yep.
The yards alone with the bonus point is 14.6 points, so he got you 20.6 points.
You know what?
And the minus the fumble. So.
I like what he said earlier this week.
Mm-hmm.
If my mom can go out there and work 3 jobs, I can go out there and play 3 positions.
Yeah, and that's the old school football mentality. That's just what they used to do. And man, just think if these people had to play 2 ways,
yep.
How much money they'd be making.
I was mentioning Tajay Sharp could be a good pickup this week.
Nope, don't listen to us.
It was Russell Gage. Without Ridley there, and he's out for a minimum of 2 more games.
Yeah.
I wouldn't trust any of these receivers. Pitts, though, 3 receptions, 62 yards. You're running Pitts out there if you have him.
You have to. There's no way you can bench
him. And Olamides Zacchaeus. I've heard it said many different ways.
Nobody knows. Yep. So Olamide,
he got the 2 touchdowns.
Hey man, if you're listening, just give us a call or something on Facebook, and we'll learn how to pronounce your name.
And then Trevor Siemian, he didn't look terrible, but like I said, I don't think he's the answer here. I wouldn't be surprised if Peyton turns the Taysom Hill. But Kamara, 13 carries, 50 yards, 1 touchdown, 4 receptions, 54 yards. It's what you like to see.
I mean, he got over 100
and then
with a touchdown.
Ingram, it's kind of back to those days of old where it's thunder and lightning with these 2.
Yeah, and this actually, I think it helps Kamara, and it might not be paying off right now in the near future, but I think once the season goes on and when we get in the playoff time for fantasy football, it's really going to help him.
It's going to help him stay more fresh and be able to break off those bigger runs in games.
Definitely, absolutely.
As for that, the receivers, it's a crapshoot whoever gets the work the week.
I would keep an eye on Deontay Harris though, because he's came off the IR 2 weeks ago, I believe it was, and he's making his mark. He looks to be doing really well. He's getting the targets. I mean, 6 receptions, 52 yards.
And he's a return man if your league does that.
Yeah, I mean, 6 receptions, 52 yards. That's not going to lose you a league, if anything, or lose you a game. It's going to help you win. So, good flex play right there.
So our next game, we have the Raiders at the Giants. It's been a week for the Raiders.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
The Raiders lost 16-23, but Derek Carr still had a good game. He had a couple interceptions in there and a lost fumble, but 30 of 46, 295 yards. Better days are still ahead for him, even without Rodgers. And apparently, they have signed Deshaun Jackson.
Okay, cool.
So that adds back in that deep spread threat. The field deep threat.
Mm-hmm.
Josh Jacobs, 13 carries, 76 yards, 4 receptions, 19 yards. You like to see that he's getting the receptions now.
Yeah, and that's what he did in Alabama. I just don't understand why it took so long to get him receptions in this offense.
The thing is, it does feel like, even though it's not a full committee, it's more of like a 70-30 here. Kenyon Drake's starting to become at least an argument for a flex-worthy play.
Well, I mean, Drake did this. I mean, Jacobs and Drake basically had the same. They had the same role at Alabama. They were.
I was gonna say, weren't they on the team at the same time at some point?
Yeah, they were. I mean, Jacobs graduated a year before Kenyon Drake, Drake graduated a year before Josh Jacobs, and I mean, Jacobs was the change of pace guy for Drake, which just sounds kind of weird, but I mean, even then, Drake was used out of the backfield to catch the ball. So, and
then Waller was back to his old ways: 7 receptions, 92 yards. And then the guy I thought that would break out from all this, not Brian Edwards, but Hunter Renfrow, 7 receptions, 49 yards, and 1 TD.
Yeah, I thought that was. I mean, that was looking into the future.
Yeah, and then as for the Giants,
Carr loves Renfrow, man, and for good reason. The guy catches everything.
As for the Giants. I have both Daniel Jones and Kirk Cousins in a Superflex Dynasty League. and I'm usually deciding between one of those two for my super flex position, I cannot make the right call. So I'm going to tell you guys on Thursday who I'm likely going to start, so you know who to pick, who to play. So you play the opposite.
I think Daniel Jones had 4 rushes, not 4 receptions.
Yeah, you're right.
I was like, what?
Yeah, Daniel Jones, he had actually had himself a decent day.
It's not
But he
great.
didn't have the volume. He had 15 to 20, 110 yards, 1 touchdown. That's about half of what the passing work that they usually get.
Right, yeah.
And then four rushes for 17 yards and a fumble lost. But Devontae Booker, 21 carries, 99 yards, 3 receptions, 23 yards. He's filled in great for Saquon.
Yeah, but he's hurt.
Yeah, he did lead this game hurt.
But they're on a bye this week.
They're on a bye, and I think Saquon Barkley's back after the bye.
Yeah, so might as well. You got what you needed out of him.
And then,
You did good.
and then Ryan's favorite tight end, Evan Ingram. 3 receptions, 38 yards, 1 TD.
The weird thing is one of those receptions was for 30 yards and a touchdown, and the next 2 were for 8 yards. So it's like, man, what the heck?
And then Galladay was finally back on the field. 2 receptions, 28 yards. And even though Tony only had 1 reception, I still say he is the receiver that you want to roster here.
How? I mean, I don't have anything going for me in the Dynasty League that we're in, but how in the world do you beat the Raiders and Kadarius Toney only has 1.1 points?
You only throw 20 times.
Ah, man, that was brutal.
All right, so in the next game, the Patriots at the Panthers. The Patriots won this one easily, 24-6.
Funny story about this game. So, a
Oh,
lot of the times if I try to just watch like the high definition channel on my streaming service, every Sunday, without fail, the channels just freeze. So I start watching the low bandwidth. This low bandwidth one was in Spanish.
every time he changed the channel to it, he'd just start dying
I
laughing.
couldn't get over it. I was like, oh, Damian Harris. I just couldn't. Sorry, I can't speak Spanish. I'm sorry if I offended anybody, but it was just funny how they would stop and go, Damian Harris.
Yeah, Mac Jones, he was fine. He didn't have the volume. He's still probably not a weekly start for you.
I would give it a year.
Yeah.
Give it a year or two.
Ramondre Stevenson, 10 carries, 62 yards, 2 receptions, 44 yards. Damian Harris did have the rushing touchdown, though. And then Brandon Bolden, 8 carries, 54 yards, 2 receptions, 27 yards. He got all his work because the other 2 had concussions.
I mean, in a deep fantasy league, or a deep league, that's a good, strong flex player right there.
Yeah. And then Sam Darnold, 16 of 33, 172 yards, 3 interceptions. We'll let Ryan say his favorite line.
He's seeing ghosts out there.
Matt Rule said when he's healthy, he's not sure that he's going to be the starter. They could turn to P.J. Walker.
I mean, you just went and wasted a bunch of money signing him.
I agree.
And they need another
It wasn't money,
quarterback.
it was picks.
I just don't think Sam Darnold was the answer. I mean, you had Teddy Bridgewater, who ran the offense pretty well last year, and I don't know why they let him go.
You know, we've given Adam Gase a lot of crap, but he may not have actually had a decent quarterback in Sam Darnold.
Maybe not.
Or maybe he just screwed up Sam Darnold beyond repair.
I'm going to go with that one.
But Christian McCaffrey's back. He didn't play his full workload, but he still played well enough for you.
He got you enough points.
And then DJ Moore, they're trying to manufacture touches for this guy. He's so athletic. He's so versatile. It's just,
I mean, at the end of the day,
you've got to get somebody to get him the ball.
7.6 points.
I will say in like a dynasty league, this might be your chance to buy DJ Moore low, hoping they get a quarterback for next year.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Don't trade Kadarius Toney for him, though.
So our next game, the Bills won this game, right?
No, they did
No?
not. They lost.
Really?
Yeah.
This game was possibly the most boring game out there. Jacksonville won 9-6. Josh Allen, you're watching.
The weird thing is Jacksonville missed a couple field goals.
You know, Josh Allen, we were talking. You're like, oh, he's not doing anything. And what did I tell you?
What?
He did the same thing last week. He showed up in the second half.
But he didn't show up this week.
He did not show up.
I mean, 21.
Well, sorry. Let me go with this. Josh Allen did show up. just not the quarterback.
Yeah, the defensive player did. I mean, 21 of 47, 264 yards. Bad. 2 interceptions. 5 carries, 50 yards, and a fumble lost.
Yeah.
I mean, those turnovers, that's, in most leagues, that's minus 6 points right there. So whatever good you did with your completions and your yards are gone.
Yep. So as for the running back, Singletary kind of shouldered the workload this week because Moss, I think, left with a concussion. Diggs finally, he's starting to get the work. He's still not getting. I mean, there was no touchdowns on the Buffalo side, but Beasley 8 receptions, 33 yards. Let's stay around the line of scrimmage.
That is not very efficient.
As for the other side, Trevor Lawrence, he left this game briefly with a sprained ankle. He got x-rays. They're saying he's going to play. It was like a mild sprain. I can't remember their matchup this week, but you're probably not starting him. He is looking better, though.
Jacksonville? I'll go and I'll find it. Hold on. I can't find it.
Might be under JAX.
Oh, okay. They're playing the Colts. Yeah. Yeah, no.
But Lawrence is definitely, he's starting to look better. He's moving around. I think he's starting to figure out the NFL game a little bit.
Yeah, he is, and he doesn't look bad for a rookie, but at the same, he doesn't look terrible for a rookie.
Yeah.
Let me say that. But I mean, next week his opponent's tough.
Yeah, and
everybody thought this opponent was tough too. So, but he didn't put up stats that would make him fantasy relevant.
Carlos Hyde, he shouldered the workload with Robinson out, but they're saying Robinson's likely back next week.
Fantasy.
It wouldn't surprise me though if we see more Hyde to try to keep Robinson healthier.
Please, fantasy guys, let Robinson play a normal work.
And then Dan Arnold, he's a good dart throw tight end. 4 receptions, 60 yards.
Yeah.
I think when he came out of college, he was actually a wide receiver, and he got converted to tight end.
Well, he's got good size.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of NFL teams do that too. I mean, look at Darren Waller, and Juwan Johnson from Oregon.
They also like to get the basketball players.
Wow, yeah.
Jimmy Graham,
Antonio Gates.
Yep. All right, so our next game, the Vikings at the Ravens. This game was interesting.
Yeah, it was fun to watch. Well, I didn't really watch it a whole lot, but it was funny.
Baltimore ended up winning in overtime, 34-31. I think this is Minnesota's 5th overtime game or something like that.
They just can't win.
They can't close.
And it's not their kicker's fault.
Not this time.
Not this year.
Not this time.
Well, the Cardinals. Yeah, the Cardinals game it was, but other ones have not been.
Cousins, 17 of 28, 187 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 carry for 1 yard and 1 TD.
Not really much to write home about.
I mean, that's a very usable game, though. I wish I started him over Tyrod.
Yeah, I wish I would have, too. I wish I had him over Tyrod.
Dalvin Cook, 17 carries, 110 yards, 3 receptions, 12 yards. Speaking of Dalvin Cook, I showed you that video. Dalvin Cook breaks a 60-yard run, and Justin Jefferson's running down the field, windmilling his arm.
Just one, not both, just one.
Windmilling one arm, going for a block. You have to imagine he's probably just there. Ah! That's a man who loves football.
Yeah, I mean, he's playing good, too. I mean, he only had 3 receptions for 69 yards, but
Nice.
He did get a touchdown.
And he had 1 carry
yards.
for 11 yards.
Oh.
And Conklin, he's another decent dart throw tight end. 5 receptions, 45 yards.
I mean, he's starting to get targets, man. He's becoming very viable at
And
tight
then
end. If you need
Adam
one.
Thielen, he's back to what we said he was. A touchdown dependent wide receiver.
He is who we thought he was.
Lamar Jackson, on the other hand, 27 of 41, 266 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 21 carries, and 120 yards. He saved the day with his legs and those 3 touchdowns.
He's going to save your fantasy team, too, with all those rushing yards.
Devonta Freeman, this is still a true...
Running back by committee.
Yeah, you're not really starting anybody. Freeman had the better game, but Bell got the touchdown. Marquis Brown.
I still think...
Marquis Brown's becoming an every week start. He's like the 5th best receiver this year in fantasy point-wise.
They literally scored 0.1 difference.
Really?
Yeah. 10.9 to 10.8. Freeman had 10.9. Bell had 10.8.
But back to what I was saying. Marquis Brown, 9 receptions, 116 yards. He's been a wide receiver 1 staple for you every week this year.
And Bateman's running into that low
Wide
end
receiver
RB2.
3 flex play.
I would say wide receiver low end low end 2, flex play 3. Yeah,
The worst thing is it's probably eating Andrews' value.
unfortunately. But hey, I mean, the fact that
And then
hey, whoa, hi, buddy.
his dog just scared him.
I licked my hands. I was like, what the heck is
And then
that?
I think it's Patrick Ricard, 3 receptions, 35 yards, 1 TD. Another guy. Who the heck is this guy? I think he's like a third string tight end.
Something like that, or a fullback. I think he's a fullback.
And then that might make sense. Devon Duvernay, 2 receptions, 8 yards, and 1 touchdown. And that was a good touchdown catch.
Yeah, it was insane.
The Chargers faced the Eagles. The Chargers won 27-24.
Close game. I mean, the Eagles are playing people tough. They're playing people really tough.
Herbert finally got back to the Herbert ways at the beginning of the year.
I mean, that's a really high completion percentage.
Yeah, 32 of 38, almost 356 yards, 2 touchdowns, and he had a rushing touchdown.
Yeah.
Austin Eckler, 17 of 59, 3 receptions, 23 yards. You'd like to see him used a little bit more, but
I think teams are really starting to key on him and Mike Williams.
the good news is Keenan Allen, 12 receptions, 104 yards. He
Yeah.
seems like once he gets going, he stays going.
They're taking away Mike
Williams.
Williams and Austin Eckler now, so you got to go somewhere. So Jared Cook, I mean, he had 4 receptions, and Allen with 12. I mean, the ball's got to go somewhere when Herbert drops back.
Speaking of Cook, you mentioned, hey, this is a good team to start your tight ends against.
Yeah.
The Chargers did just that. Cook and Parham, total of 7 receptions, about 100 yards.
What?
No, not about 100 yards. Sorry, about 80,
What?
90 yards.
Come on, do the math.
I don't want to do the math right now.
It's 87.
Parham, I said about 90 yards.
It's 87.
And Parham got the touchdown.
Yeah.
Parham, I think he was an AFL.
Mm-mm.
AAF, that's what it was. AAF tight end that kind of started showing out. He was a guy that I really liked until the Chargers decided, we're going to sign Cook.
Yeah.
So keep an eye on Parham. He could be a good dynasty stash.
Yeah, could be.
As for the Eagles, Hurts didn't throw much. 11 of 17, 162 yards. 1 touchdown. But he did have 10 carries, 62 yards. As for
Knock it off.
the Eagles coach, they're saying even when Sanders is back, they're probably going to have to get Howard for workload.
He's running the ball hard, man.
He is.
I got lucky because somebody played Boston Scott against me and he got 4 points. It's like, whew.
Yeah. Scott, he didn't really do much this week. They got away from him, and Gamewell gets 2 carries and gets a touchdown.
Yeah, I think it was Answer Rogue. I'd have to look at the league.
Good news is, though, Devonta Smith finally had a breakout game. 5 receptions, 116 yards, and a touchdown.
23 points, man.
But the thing is, I think it came at the expense of Goddard.
Yeah. When you only throw the ball 17 times, it means somebody's going to flourish or nobody's going to flourish.
Yep. Our next game, this game,
Finally getting into the late games.
the Packers at the Chiefs. The Chiefs won 13-7. This Chiefs offense is not right.
It all starts with the offensive line. And, they went out last year after the Super Bowl loss and they dumped their entire offensive line. They didn't bring back any starters on the offensive line. And they said, we're going to go spend money on the offensive line. What? You just threw money out the window because this offensive line is trash. And everyone wants to talk about the Mahomes interceptions. I'm going to tell you guys, man.
Well, the Mahomes interceptions, and I was watching ESPN, and Dan Orlovsky was talking like,
He's forcing it
Mahomes,
because he's
well, not only that, he doesn't have the best mechanics still.
Mm-mm.
And that's something that can be changed. It's just it hasn't had to be changed yet.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this offseason could be...
Telling for what they do.
Yeah, but he's so talented, and he can throw the ball from so many different angles and
I
from
agree.
so many different motions so accurately. Yeah, I just think sometimes he's still trying to play like when he first came out, and people are now used to it and used to seeing it. So. And
then Jordan Love, he looked like a deer in headlights this game. He got a little bit better as the game went on, but
he was seeing ghosts.
I think you got to play before you can see ghosts.
He was seeing ghosts out there.
But man, AJ Dillon, he's eating into the workload of Aaron Jones.
I'm not really sure what's going on. But I don't like it because I was playing against Dylan in the league.
Devontae Adams, 6 receptions, 42 yards. At least he's still being targeted.
Yeah.
You've got to hope that Rodgers is cleared on Saturday so he can play Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, Cobb 3 for 50 and Lazard the only touchdown in the game for the Packers. I mean, I think if you were a manager and you have rostered Aaron Jones, you were hoping for a lot more than what happened, especially with Aaron Rodgers being out. But, oh, man, that was a brutal game. For both teams. I mean, nobody really sticks out except for Travis Kelce on either side, you know?
Yeah. So our next game, the Cardinals at the 49ers. Man, the Cardinals took it to them. They punched San Francisco in the mouth. 31-17.
And man, where did James Conner come? This is the James Conner that we saw after Le'Veon
he
Bell.
came out because
Chase Edmonds
got hurt the first play of the game.
And I think Connor's proven, I'm the dude here.
Yeah.
You don't need Chase no more.
Edmonds, he suffered a high ankle sprain. He's out for a few weeks at least.
But, I mean, Connor has proven I'm a number one.
I think
second,
he finally got healthy again. And actually,
Yeah.
I do think he needs that help. Because when he was on Pittsburgh, he was the guy. He had every carry.
Mm-hmm.
I think he does need somebody in that backfield with him. Otherwise, he does get hurt.
Yeah, and we're seeing it. And there's only a few teams now that really don't run running backs by committee, a.k.a. the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, it's still Najee Harris and Najee Harris.
Yeah.
But and for the most part in Cincinnati, it's still...
It's
Joe
mostly
Mixon.
Mixon, but P. Ryan sprinkled in more than you'd like to see as a manager.
Sure, but at the end of the day, as much as running back by committee really infuriates me as a manager, it's good. It's good for the explosiveness and health of your
It's
players.
good for the longevity
players,
of these players.
Yeah, absolutely. You're paying so much money.
Benjamin finally got some work. 9 carries, 39 yards, and 1 touchdown.
I mean, really, though, that 23-yard scamper for a touchdown, that was garbage time. I mean, they were just trying to run as much clock off as they could, and he just broke through the hole with nobody in sight. So.
And then Christian Kirk, 6 receptions, 91 yards. He was 1 for 1 passing with 33 yards. Wesley, though, Mike Clay was talking on Fantasy Football Now before the games, saying that he could be a good play.
Mm-hmm.
The Cardinals have set positions for their receivers. They don't really move them around.
Okay.
And he said Wesley was Hopkins' backup. And Wesley, I think, got one of the receiving touchdowns. I forgot to put that in here, but I remember hearing that.
I can't remember.
As for the 49ers, Garoppolo, he actually had a decent game. These are going to happen occasionally, but he tends to be more of a game manager. The surprising thing here, though, Elijah Mitchell, 8 carries, 36 yards, but he got 5 receptions this game. I think this is the first time he's caught a pass.
Yeah.
And then as for the receivers and tight ends, Kittle, he was the most targeted guy out there. But Ayuk, he's finally starting to get some work. Did you hear what happened with them?
No.
Apparently, him and Shanahan had a sit down and they exchanged some words. But in the end, it was basically Shanahan saying you're talented, but you're not practicing the right way. And players like George Kittle are coming out saying yeah, he's out there, he's practicing like he's playing now.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, Ayuk could start seeing some more work. He's not crazy rostered, so if he's out there, he might be a good guy to look into. But it wouldn't surprise me if Samuel's been battling an injury, so when Samuel's fully healthy, it could eat out or take away from Ayuk as well.
Didn't the Lions drop Tyrell Williams?
Yes, the Lions cut Tyrell Williams. And then last night's game, Tennessee. So maybe this defense. Maybe they were saying we got Derrick Henry. We don't need to play good defense. And now Derrick Henry's going, okay, guys, we got to step it up. We got to actually play. Because they made Stafford look, and not bad, but they forced 2 interceptions from him, and they were getting hits on Stafford like crazy.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the defense is... ever since that is a primetime game. I think it was a Thursday night. Tennessee versus Buffalo.
I think it was Sunday night. I can't remember.
You might be right, but Tennessee came out there and they stopped Buffalo on a 4th and inches maybe. Yeah, I know. throwing shots in the dark here, right? Trying to get another QB. But
I mean,
anyway,
the thing is, like,
they've been on a roll because then they went on to take on the Chiefs and beat the Chiefs.
They're beating the good teams. They've had a really tough schedule.
Colts, and I hope it gets easier for them. But at the end of the day, you got to beat the best to be the best. So
as for the running back room, one game's hard to say this on, but it looks like a true running back by committee. They're going to use all three guys. I'm not sure there's one of these running backs that I want to start.
No, I have McNichols in a league or two and Peterson in a league or two, but at the end of the day, no. For now,
did you hear what they were saying about Peterson on the broadcast last night?
He feels the best he's ever felt.
He thinks he can play till 40. Apparently, he...
Okay, Tom Brady.
Yeah, I was about to say, apparently he's Tom Brady. He just takes more of a beating.
Yeah, I mean, he said after last year he felt the healthiest that he's ever felt after a season, and he felt like he could play again, and he was really disappointed that nobody called. And
yeah.
I mean, I would love to see for him to get his touches. Yeah. I would love to see it because I got him in a dynasty league, and I need help in my dynasty league.
Yeah. As for the Rams, Henderson, 11 carries, 55 yards, 3 receptions, 3 yards. Sonny Michel got a garbage time touchdown that was just kind of...
Really hurts me.
Stafford just kind of flinging it.
Really hurt me in the dynasty league.
Woods had a good game. 7 receptions,
did.
98 yards, and 1 carry for 6 yards.
I mean, he got you over that 100-yard mark. So.
Yep. Cooper Kupp, 11 and 95 yards.
His points all came off of the point PPR.
Yep. Higbee's being targeted, 5 receptions, 51 yards. And as I mentioned, Jefferson's kind of that deep threat, and he was targeted more than just these 3 times that he caught the ball.
Yeah, he just was overthrown a little bit, or not accurately.
So, I mean, this Rams offense is still a good offense to start fantasy-wise.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that's our Week 9 recap.
You don't have Thursday night's game on here of who we're picking.
I do. It's the Ravens at the Dolphins. Oh, I don't put it down there. I just use it up here.
Oh.
So, Ravens at the Dolphins. Yeah, I'm starting the Ravens. You're starting the usual suspects, and I think Tua is supposed to be back this week. I wouldn't mind starting Tua if needed.
It's for Thursday night football. Not tonight, but starting Week 10, Thursday night football. I think the Ravens are going to win that. I think Lamar Jackson, with how poor this Dolphins defense is, Lamar Jackson could run for 200 yards. I wouldn't put it past him.
You know, I think it was mentioned, like, Le'Veon Bell scored, Adrian Peterson scored. They're like, is this 2007?
Julio Jones and Adrian Peter on the same team. Too bad this is in 2012.
Yeah, that's in 2012, sorry.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I choose the Ravens as well. You're starting the normal suspects in this game. Actually, I probably still avoid the running backs, but Jackson, Andrews, Bateman, Brown.
Yeah, that's about it, though.
And then Dolphins, I'd still start Waddle.
Tua. Gesicki if you need a tight end.
Yep. Anything else you want to add before we start to close?
No.
All right. Well, we appreciate you guys taking time out of your day, hanging out with us. We'll be back Thursday with our Week 10 preview.
What, Week 10 preview?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Week 10 preview, Thursday. See you there.
Like us on Twitter, Facebook,
Instagram,
Spotify,
Spotify,
Anchor,
YouTube,
Google Podcasts. Subscribe and like on YouTube. Anything helps. We appreciate you guys.
See you Thursday.
Man, this song really gets you dancing.
Let's go. Why not? It's only work.